Hi everybody, I hope that you're all doing really well today. So behind me, you may be able to see that my general fiction shelf bookcase is empty. And that's because last night I got a really strong urge to just take all of my books off my shelves and just play around with the organisation, just play around a little bit with the order. And I thought I'd film the process and show you different ways of organising your bookshelf, all the different popular ways that people like to organise their bookcases. Because the rest of my bookshelves do have some sort of order to them. The far corner over there has got all of my history books. This first big one has got all of like my children's YA and just basically books that I read when I was a teenager. We've got Christmas books, series, poetry, plays, and then miscellaneous right at the bottom. And then this far bookcase has got my classics, my non-fiction that isn't history, and then my like older classics right at the bottom. Whereas I've tried to organise my general fiction in different ways over the years, and I've never quite hit upon a system that I love until I started doing the rainbow shelves. The very controversial rainbow shelves that some people love and others hate. I'm a big fan of them. I like to organise my bookcase so it's like hardbacks and then paperbacks and then do that by colour, despite the fact that so many people seem to think that having rainbow shelves makes you not a real reader. If you don't alphabetize your books, then are you really a proper reader? And I'm just like, mate, I like the colour. Also because I'm quite a visual person. When I think about a book, I often think about the cover, I think about the colour of it, I think about the design, much more readily than I do the surname of the author or the name of the book even. I was saying to Grace from GK Reads that I have been known to go into a bookshop and I'll be searching out for a book based on its cover, and then I realise, oh yeah, bookshops aren't organised that way, libraries are not organised that way. I want a bookshop where it's just organised by colour and it'll be a great time. But as you can see, I've got all of my books organised at the moment, and we're going to pop them back on the shelves in different variations. And yeah, they're probably going to go back in the exact same order as they were before, but you know, this is how I like to spend my time. So here are all my books in piles by the last name of the author. There I've got Shah on my screen right now, keeping me company whilst I do this. And here you see that H, M, and S are the letters which I have most in terms of author surname. Just realised I've completely forgotten all of my H's. They gave me 2 degrees, mate, and I can't do my alphabet. So this was all of my books arranged alphabetically by last name of the author. I know that for a lot of people this helps them with searching for their books, and they like that it keeps all of their authors together, which is fair enough, but honestly this setup just does nothing for me. I don't like the way that my hardbacks and paperbacks all look together in this way, and it just looks messy to me. I know a lot of people who love alphabetizing their books always say to me, how can you organise by colour? How do you find anything that way? And for me, that's really confusing because I just know what colour my book is. It's not difficult for me. So yeah, I find it really funny how different people's minds work. Ultimately, I do understand why people choose to alphabetise their books in terms of being able to find things a little bit easier, but yeah, it doesn't personally work for me. And I also don't like the fact that my books don't fit at the end. Okay, so I've started on the process of trying to do my books by genre, and like, does anybody else have this issue with trying to organise by genre, that you've got like some books that are very clearly like historical fiction, some that are very clearly like myth retellings or thriller or whatever, but then there's like all the other things that don't fit neatly into a category. Because for me, that is all of these books. I've got a few here that I've got set out and a few here. But like, is it contemporary fiction? Is it literary fiction? Who knows? I feel like this is going to be the hardest one to do. Okay, so we've got historical fiction, the biggest pile I have. Mythology, kind of science fiction into dystopian-y kind of things. Translated fiction, kind of contemporary romance-y kind of stuff. Either short stories or lots of interconnected stories in a book. Mystery, thriller, crime, or courtroom. My one straight up fantasy, and then things that are kind of magical-ish. And then everything else that is kind of in weird piles. Kind of literary fiction, weird fiction, kind of contemporary stuff. Books about relationships, books about families, and then I've got this pile which is basically books about people getting older. I don't think this will be my fave. I hate this. So this was my attempt to organise my books by genre, and yeah, so organising my books by genre was probably my least favourite organisational method. I think it could work fine if you are someone who reads a lot of traditional genre fiction, like sci-fi, like fantasy, romance, horror. I personally don't, and a lot of my books kind of skirt the line between like commercial fiction and literary fiction. A lot of my books aren't very defined in terms of their genre. I think if I were doing this again, instead of organising by genre, I'd probably organise it in terms of similar themes within books. So I would have like all my Jane Austen retellings together, or all my books about time travel together, all my myth retelling books together, something like that. I just don't like the way it was organised here, and I felt like I was kind of flinging books into random places for no real reason. So this is my bookshelf organised by star rating, with 5 stars at the top leading down to 1 star at the bottom. And I think the issue that you come up straight away with this kind of system is that star ratings are quite arbitrary. I think this system would work better if it were done over time. For now, I feel like I could quite easily sort the 5-star reads and the 1-star reads, but everything in between just felt like it was being thrown on. I was organising each star rating more in terms of like their height order for neatness rather than ranking them by which books I liked more. One benefit of this that I can definitely see is that if you ever got the urge to reread your old favourites, this really streams down the searching process because they're all there together. And also, if you want to unhaul any books to save space, you can instantly find the books that you didn't like and get rid of them. So here we have my books organised by the date that I read them, which was unexpectedly easy to accomplish because I started my Goodreads account back in 2014, which is when I just started uni and also when I got back into reading. So I had the exact order of the last 7 years of reading all laid out for me. I think a lot of people would hate this as a way of organising their books because it means that you would have to split up series or authors, but it actually grew on me quite a lot. It's quite fun to see your life in reading in order, and it's fun to see the changes over time in what you read or how much you read. I actually think that I am somebody who thinks of the books that I read in terms of when and where I was when I read them, which is funny because I say that I have a terrible memory a lot of the time, and it often is for like facts and figures and author names. But actually when it comes to like where and when I was at a certain time, or what I was reading on a certain date, or what I was wearing, I'm actually quite good at remembering that. What I like about this system is that I can say like, oh, here's where I started uni. This is when I graduated uni. This is what I read at my sister's hen party, because I'm a very sociable person. Here to here is what I read on holiday in 2016. Here is when I started my MA. And here's after I finished my dissertation. Here is when lockdown started. And here is now. So here we are back to my original setup of separating by hardbacks and paperbacks and then by colour, and oh, I just love it. There's no need to make an immediate firm judgment call on like what niche or genre a book fits into or its rating. It's just, this book is green, therefore it will sit with the other green books. There's no worries about if there's too many of one author or one genre and then them being split over multiple shelves. Though you may find yourself having to split up series, but that doesn't typically bother me personally. Other ways of organising your books would be by unread and read books. As you see, I've got a TBR trolley, so I can't really do that with my bookshelves. Alternatively, you might choose to organise your books by date of publication. Now, I do have a classics shelf, so that doesn't really make sense for me. But if you do like to have all of your books together, it might be a nice way of seeing how it progresses through the years. Alternatively, you might like to trial having your books arranged by size. I know that's quite a popular one for people who like to keep their bookshelves nice and neat, and I do think it looks aesthetically very pleasing. So 6 hours later, the main takeaway from this video is that I like my old system the best. Typical.